What to the oppressed is the Inauguration, a speech for 2025 inspired by Frederick Douglass, delivered by the Forefront Radio. My fellow Americans, I stand before you today in 2025 on this day of celebration to ask a question that Frederick Douglass posed over 170 years ago. What to the Black American, the immigrant, the oppressed is Inauguration Day? Today, many of you light up the sky with fireworks, flags wave proudly in the air, and families gather together to celebrate the birth of this nation. Politicians stand on grand stages reciting words about liberty and justice, about America's greatness and promise. Preachers speak and recount on famous words of freedom and liberty for all. But beneath the surface of these celebrations, there is another America. An America where justice is still conditional, where freedom is still incomplete, where the sins of the past are not buried, but reborn in new forms. What is the inauguration speech to the Black American in 2025? It is a day that reminds us that while we are free on paper, we are still bound by the chains of systemic racism. Our children are still more likely to attend underfunded schools. Our families are still disproportionately targeted by mass incarceration. Our communities still struggle against economic inequality, against the redlining of opportunity, against the slow grind of policies that uphold poverty while calling it progress. We have seen history repeat itself on the never-ending treadmill of annihilation. The Supreme Court rolls back protections that our ancestors bled for. State governments rewrite history books to erase our struggle. Police brutality is filmed, debated, and dismissed. And yet, when we speak of justice, we are told to be patient, to wait for a future that seems to never come soon. The inauguration is a day when America tells itself it is free. But tell that to the Black families who still fight for justice after generations of oppression. Surely oppression makes a wise man mad. Tell that to the mother mourning her child lost to state violence. Tell that to the worker who labors twice as hard, even for half the reward. A house in 1980 cost approximately $40,000. That same house with a new paint job, that same house with a new refrigerator, that same house with a new tile now costs $400,000. Is that a freedom that we're looking forward to? What is the inauguration speech to the immigrant in 2025? It is a day of contradiction, a day when America celebrates its identity as a nation of immigrants while building higher walls, tightening borders, and separating families. We are told America is a land of opportunity, yet millions of immigrants, documented and undocumented, live in fear. For some strange reason, it's not the Ukrainian immigrant. For some strange reason, it's not the Polish immigrant. For some strange reason, it's not the Germanic immigrant. For some strange reason, it's not the British immigrant. For some strange reason, it's not the South Afrikaner immigrant that live in fear of deportation, fear of exploitation, fear of being denied the very dream they were promised. We see asylum seekers treated like criminals, targeted as insurgents, children locked in detention centers, families torn apart by policies wrapped in cruelty. And these policies have not changed, whether red or blue, whether blood or crypt, whether Dem or Rep. We see politicians and news media demonizing the very workers who pick our food, who build our cities, and who care for our loved ones. To the immigrant, the inauguration speech is a reminder that American freedom is often reserved for those with privilege, while others fight just to be seen as human. What is the inauguration speech in the age of Christian nationalism? It is a day when some claim that freedom only belongs to those who fit their vision of America, where faith is weaponized to control, to exclude, to erase. In 2025, we have seen Christian nationalism rise as a force that threatens the world itself. Laws and executive orders are passed that roll back the rights of women. The descendants of the oppressed are told that civil rights can be waved away with a stroke of a pen. Downsizing of the qualified workers towards a false meritocracy based on whiteness, all in the name of religious puritanical tyranny. Politicians drape their policies in misinterpreted scripture while stripping away the rights of those who do not conform to Eurocentric delusional standards. This is not the America of true religious freedom. This is not the America of equality. This is an America where some seek to impose their chosen people delusion by law, where the separation of church and state is under siege, where diversity is treated as a threat, as terrorism rather than a strength. What does the inauguration speech mean when freedom is defined only by those in power, those that have the billions to back it up? When liberty is used as a sword rather than a shield? When the man that has access to brain chips can hold hands with the president and no one is concerned? When the very values of democracy are twisted to uphold theocratic, Eurocentric tropes. But this is a call to action. We do not stand before you today in despair. We stand in defiance. We stand in the tradition of those who refuse to accept oppression as their fate. America is not a static nation. It is a nation shaped by those who dare to demand more. Frederick Douglass spoke in 1852 to a country that had not yet abolished captivity. He spoke to a people who claimed to love liberty while denying it to millions, and yet he did not remain silent. Why are we? He called America to account. He demanded that this nation lived up to its own ideals. So must we. The inauguration speech cannot only be a day of celebration, it must be a day of reckoning, a day when we ask ourselves, who is still waiting for the promises of America to be fulfilled? Not me, not us, not we. If we truly believe in freedom, we must fight, for civil liberties are under attack. If we truly believe in justice, we must stand against racial and economic inequality. If we truly believe in the Bible, we must resist the forces of nationalism that seek to turn this country into a place where only a chosen few hold power, especially when Jesus is Black and the Bishop of Bacon Bits teaches otherwise. The inauguration speech should not be a comfortable day to disrespect Martin Luther King Jr. It should be a call to action. Let us not simply wave the flag. Let us remember it was drenched in the crimson life force of our ancestors. Let us not simply sing of freedom. Let us ensure it belongs to all. Let us not simply celebrate grandiose words of false narratives. Let us write a new one. Because justice is not given, it is won. And we are here to win it. The saints of the Most High will take the kingdom. This is the true meaning of the inauguration speech in 2025. May we rise to the occasion. May we arise to judgment. May we understand divine retribution, and may we walk in unity. Thank you for listening.